Hello, 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 and welcome to Exhale into Life with Regina. When Regina speaks, everybody listen. You are live streaming or you are watching us on live stream with WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It is so wonderful to have you joining us today while we close out the National Wellness Month. It's only right that we highlight voices who inspire us to care for ourselves, mind, body, and soul. Today's guest is someone who embodies transformation, faith, and fierce dedication to health and excellence. Please welcome Sharice Robinson, MBA, founder and principal consultant of Redemption Consulting. Welcome, Sharice.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and so before we get into the questions and who you are and what your business is about, I always try to pause and have a conversation around wellness. And one of the conversations that have been going on for so long is around gun control. I think oftentimes we don't realize how if we don't have a better system in place for our children as well as for adults, that this actually ruins mental health. It really does. There were 2 lives lost, 17 were injured. One young boy, he was 8 years old, and from my understanding that this young man laid his body over his friend. The other one was a young lady who was 10 years old. As the father said of the 8-year-old one, he said that we would never hold him again. That is so true. And we keep going through this over and over and over, starting with Sandy Hook. Parents are still speaking up, still requesting that we get some amount of gun control in our nation. And it's clear it can be done. It's really clear it can be done, particularly when it comes to our children. It is an ad out that is showing kids going back to school, running in the hallways, hiding, doing all type of things, breaking windows, because once again, we're going to be dealing with school shootings. It's really a sad thing. And it does interfere with mental health. Our children are scared to go to school. They do not want to be killed. Parents are getting to the point that they're afraid to even send their kids to school. Children are going through drills after drills after drills, not just fire drills. No, not just flood in the school, but shooting drills on what to do. We have just banned it around. Michigan refused to ban the phones in the schools, but some schools are doing it anyway. But New York just passed a law stating that kids could not have cell phones. And there was a concern about, well, what if a shooter comes and they want to reach out? They said that's actually the worst thing that can be done, because if the phone go off or call back or anything, the shooter would know how to locate them. But just imagine, in this day and time, that we're worrying about shootings, our kids being safe. And as a mother, I know I worried about my child going to school as well. It didn't happen in her school, praise the Lord, but it's happening. And kids are scared to death. Can you imagine being next to your friend? Sitting with them, just walked into the church, laughing, giggling, having fun. And suddenly that person is no longer there, or they've been shot, maimed in some type of way. How awful and terrible. So we want to go into black neighborhoods, these hoods where supposedly that we want to control. No, actually we don't. The president does. Trump wants to control, sending National Guards and ICE and police in to be hard on crime. Well, interesting enough, I believe the record shows that 53% of shootings are done by white male. Actually done by whites. 95% are done by white males. Think about that for a minute. If you want to control something, let's start right there with the shootings. Work with the police. Work with the community. Work with neighbors. And please don't tell me, oh, I'm so happy that, why aren't blacks happy that Trump have sent these guards and National Guards? Take care of your community. How about that? Let's join together and do some community work. And stop telling me that, oh, blacks kill one another. Please, look at the statistics. Let's just be real about it. And so I just want to be real. The end of National Wellness Month, but of course, every month we're picking up some type of theme about wellness.
Right.
And so I want to invite you into the conversation if you have anything that you would like to say.
Yes, I do.
As you see, I'm passionate about it,
Right.
but of course, I want to invite you into it, Sharice.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Regina. So I totally agree with what you said. And most of the shootings that have happened, ironically, they are around the shooter having some sort of history of mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
And it is my belief that that is the bigger issue that needs to be addressed in the United States is the mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we often hear people say that people kill people, guns don't. You know, a person has to use the gun to
Mm-hmm.
kill someone. And I believe that that's totally true. But in most of these instances where these mass shootings are happening, when we look back at the history of the person and their behavior, even with the most recent shooting, there was signs of mental illness. And certainly no one as a parent that has someone or someone in your family with mental illness, no one wants to think that they could harm themselves or let alone anyone else.
Right.
But the reality of it is we have to do better as a community in identifying the signs and getting people help. And that was one of the things that was in this manifesto that this person had. I need help. And it was a cry for help. So I think that that's the bigger issue that we need to address in our nation is mental illness. You know, where do people go to get this mental illness? Give them the insurance coverage that they need to get the mental illness.
Well,
allow
see,
the
that's it, right?
allow the family members to have these people go to the institutions so that they can get the help that they need, because our babies can't keep dying at the hands of someone else in gun violence. I just had this conversation with my husband, and I said, you know, if we had school-age children, I would homeschool. No question about it.
That's right, yes.
No question about it, because it's just not safe. And I still fear for my grandchildren that are still school
Yes.
age. And it's very concerning. I think anyone with any ounce of hope or feeling within them, it just tugs at your heart every time you turn on the news and you see that one of these innocent children's lives has been lost at the hand of someone who has a problem that's just not being addressed.
Right, and that's really true. And I also think, and thank you for sharing that,
Yeah.
because mental illness is on the table.
Right.
I think also we need to call it what it is. It's a domestic terrorist act.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was from what I understand, in his manifesto, very focused on children.
Yes.
Very focused.
Yes.
And so each one has a focus. Each one, every time, you're right, mental illness is involved. And most of the time, 95% are white males.
Yeah.
And so we have to get real about what's happening. So
Right.
it was easy to want to say, oh, he was trans and, you know, these minorities. Stop it.
Yeah.
Let's just get real.
Yeah.
95% are white men. And then we're good to call out statistics when black people are involved.
Right.
We're very good to say,
Right.
black people have more of this.
Right.
Black people have more of that. Then let's just get real about statistics.
Right.
The facts don't lie.
Right.
And that's what we need to focus on. So you're so right. Mental illness needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Who's doing the shootings need to be addressed.
Right.
Okay? And we also need to deal with the fact that a lot of mental illness funds have been stripped.
Yes, they
And
have.
health insurance have been stripped.
Yes, they have.
And even more now with this big ugly bill that's about to come out. So
Right.
let's just get real.
Right.
I just want to be real at this point about what's happening in our society. Let's confront it. Let's be real about it. And the fact of the matter is that Congress, that's their responsibility to act.
Exactly.
It's time to act around the world.
Yes.
And us as citizens, this is a cry. I decided to handle it on my show. Some may like it, some may not. But you know what? It is what it is. Because for me, it's time to speak truth to power.
Right.
Yes. And so that's it. That's my little segment. I feel very passionate about it. My guest feels passionate about it.
Yes.
We have grandchildren. We both do.
Yeah.
And you're right. Who wants their kids in school?
Right.
Who wants a child thinking about laying their body on their friend to cover them and they the ones to get killed?
You know what the most disturbing thing was to me when I saw that on the news? Was the child that was explaining it, his ability to articulate what happened, and it was so normal.
Yes. Well, you know, and I like what another one
That's
said.
not good.
They also was in shock. But you're
sure.
right. They explained it.
He explained it like, yeah, this is what happened, and yeah, I was like, wow. For a child to have to carry that with them for the rest of their life,
For the
it's just
rest
not fair.
of their lives.
And going back to mental health, those children are going to need mental health for what they experienced
Forever.
forever.
Yep. They're going to need it to be dealt with. They're going to need to find healing and hope.
Yes.
They're going to need to know that adults have their back.
Yes.
They need to know that our nation have their backs.
Yes.
And so many times that has not been the case.
Right.
So it is time to do something.
It's time.
It is
And-
time.
And I think it was the mayor that was on the news that said, you know, we've said it too many times. You're
It
in
was
my
him.
thoughts and prayers. And
Yes.
it's like, we need to stop saying that and put something in action.
That's right.
You know, it's not enough just to say, you're in my thoughts and prayer, the country is praying for you. No, get these children help that they need that will sustain them throughout their life, whether they have health insurance or not to cover it. Make sure that they and give their parents the support that they need for the deceased and the children and the school staff. It's all encompassing.
Yeah.
It's not just a one and done deal of you're in my thoughts and prayers. Let's do something, and then let's get some legislation in place to put some control and more better parameters around the guns and
That's
who
right.
can have access to them.
And who can have access to it?
And for gun owners, CPL holders, to get training so that they can be educated.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And hopefully that will happen. Because like in Texas right now, anybody can walk around with a gun.
Right.
Anybody.
Yeah.
You know, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And people have gotten shot just sitting in their cars, minding their own business,
Yeah.
just shot.
Yeah.
So, you know, this topic can go on and on and on. Thank you so much
You're welcome.
for engaging with me in this topic. Hopefully we've said something that was meaningful, that touched your heart, that even make you want to speak up.
Yeah.
You know, this is a platform that I have that allows me to give a cry, because if we think this is not messing with us, our mental health and our wellness, then we need to rethink it, reevaluate it.
Absolutely.
Yes, for sure.
Because it definitely tugs at my heart, and I do pray
Yes.
for those families each and every time I see them.
Yes. So thank you.
Absolutely.
So here, Cherise is, we said that she's the founder and principal consultant of Redemption Consulting. And you can go to www.redemptivebiz.com. Is that right?
It's www.redemption,
Redemption, I'm sorry, biz.
REDEMPTION,
Okay, I love
that's my
that.
website.
So, Redemption Biz, like business?
Yes.
.com. Okay. So, Cherise doesn't just manage projects.
Right.
She transforms organization. She took patient satisfaction scores from 35 to 85 in just 6 months. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
She's led 2.5 million portfolios, executed vaccine rollouts for thousands in Southeast Michigan, and implemented seamless transitions across major health systems. You know, I want to really put a pin in that vaccine rollout,
Yes.
because now we haven't rolled back.
Yes.
Yes, so I do want to touch on that with you.
Sure.
Cherise brings Fortune 500 expertise to growing organizations and consistently delivers results that matter, improving satisfaction, cutting costs, and boosting employee engagement. She is also deeply committed to personal wellness, living plant-based for 8 years, and integrating faith into her health journey. And so, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, to Exhale into Life with Regina. Yeah, I normally get my guests to also breathe deeply. And because I believe these are a lot of things that we can be breathing deeply about. I said I wanted to put a pin in the vaccine rollout. Won't you tell us more about that?
That was a very interesting time because, of course, it was during COVID, and the organization that I was at the time as the center manager, it was inner city in Detroit, and we weren't prepared, period. I mean, we saw patients daily in the clinic, and one day, it was still not confirmed that COVID was here, and one of the patients was sick, and then one of the staff members got sick, and then we didn't have appropriate PPE on hand for staff to continue to see patients. So we had to facilitate a system whereby we would be able to partner with the government to get PPE in the clinic. We had to shut down for several weeks so that we could see patients virtually, because at that point it started going into shutdown mode for everything. And it's really important that patients still got their care, was able to get their medicines and things like that for the continuity of their care. So we couldn't stay that way forever, right? Because patients had to come into the clinic for various needs. So I partnered with the city of Detroit and their vaccine program so that we could start ordering vaccines and receive vaccines. And we were able to do that. And so I not only did it for my center, but it rolled out to other centers. And I created the pilot where I was for people to start coming in and get the vaccines. And as you recall, only certain people could get the vaccines early on. It was for the elderly that could get them early on, and those that had various morbidities with their health. So we started that way, and then as the government released us to be able to roll it out to other age groups and people and things like that, we just kept transitioning and morphing with the program as the government changed the guidelines, and we were able to treat a very significant amount of southeastern Michigan with those vaccines throughout the clinic I was at and the other clinics for that organization. And then I was over the Vaccine for Children program as well, so being able to get those children back into the clinic for that period of time that they were out of school, that were behind on their vaccines, and making sure that they stayed current with them, that's another thing that I had the responsibility for. So it was quite a responsibility. A lot of good came out of it, and being able to service the community.
Yeah, well, we really thank you for your service, because it was definitely needed during that time. We didn't know. I caught COVID early on when they were not even sure was it what it was. And let me just say this. When I say they were not sure, I want to say that it was a refusal to make sure what was going on. Because I was starting to hear about it. I was listening to some program and starting to hear about something coming this way, and it wasn't being talked about. And I was like,
get some bleach to treat it.
Yeah, well, at that point, I didn't hear that. But just saying something was coming our way, and it was spreading across countries. And I was like, what is this? And so I mentioned it to a friend, and then I mentioned it to someone else. And they were like, Regina, please, you need to stop listening to this conspiracy stuff. And I was like, I don't think it's conspiracy. So I started listening more. When it came, I was like, that right there. That right there is what it was talking about. And so it's here. And but at the time, it wasn't given a name. And I got so sick, I didn't know if I was going to make it. That's how sick I got. And so it was tough during that time. And then the doctor that I saw, I went to emergency. Oh, you have the flu.
They didn't know how to treat it.
They didn't know nothing.
They kept thinking people had the flu. And people were literally passing left
and right. And you know, that is so true, Sharice, because I went to a funeral, and it was a very small funeral because the lady was around 90 something. So it wasn't a big funeral. It was a girlfriend of mine. It was her aunt who passed away. So I say it was maybe 50 people there. 4 people died from that funeral. And I got sick because I was on the pulpit, and so one of the ones that were singing was the one that passed away. So I don't know, was she breathing on me? I don't know what happened.
It was airborne.
Yes, so I don't know what happened, but I know I was one of the ones that got sick. And a lot of people got sick from that small wedding. Funeral. Interesting enough, my husband went to a funeral same day, much larger, didn't touch him at all.
Yeah, that was the funny thing with COVID. Some people could have it, and they could be in the same house with another person, and they have it, and the other person didn't get it. But it was so scary at first because nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew how to treat it. Nobody knew what we should be doing in our daily lives. Everything was shut down. People were losing their jobs. People had to stop working because they didn't have child care for their children because the kids couldn't go. I mean, it was just on and on and on. It was like, oh my gosh.
It was awful.
It was a very trying time, and I lost a close loved one to that as well.
Did you? Yeah. I mean, some of my friends, and I've lost some cousins too. I was glad that I'm still here.
Right.
But you're right, that was a very trying time. And I'm even hearing now that something's out there that we need to be taking a look at. And I'm like, it's not going to be talked about from this administration. It's not. I'm sorry. So we need to be passing the word. And one of the doctors said that we need to be wearing masks again and just making sure that we're taking better care of ourselves.
It's interesting that you say that because I was out running errands the other day with my husband, and I was like, is it just me, or do you see a lot of people with masks on? And he was like, yeah, there are quite a few people that are out that have on masks. So I find that interesting that you say that.
I think so. I think that we need to think about it. Since I'm hearing that wire again, don't really care if people believe me or not. I'd rather say it than to not say it.
Right.
And if it doesn't happen, less.
Right.
Yeah, less. Great.
Right.
But if something comes down the wire, we need to be prepared. Right. The masks, they are helping. And I know people they're against them, and that's fine. Whatever you believe in and not believe in. I'm not really telling people what to do. I'm saying, if you want to take care of yourself, that is one consideration that you can do, wearing masks. And the doctor put it very plainly that things are happening right now. Temperature going to spike. These different things that are going on. We're going to have more flu, more colds. This is that temperature where things are rising, changing, seasons changing. And so he was just recommending just from that standpoint as well.
Yeah. And I think in that same vein, in that thought of wellness, some of those practices that we did during that time and coming out of COVID, not only if you choose to wear a mask right now or not, but just that consistency and washing your hands, using hand sanitizer, making sure that you as a person are taking your vitamin C, zinc, those things that help combat against different ailments and things. I think that's important, just to do that on a regular basis.
So you're right, and thanks for that. So let me ask you this. So you did the rollout. What do you think about the rollback now that's happening with vaccines at this point?
I think that when you go back to that thought of conspiracy theory, when COVID came and it was here and everybody saw the devastation of the many lives that was lost, there were a lot of people that decided not to get vaccinated.
Yes.
There were. And there also were a lot of people that said, not only do I not want that vaccination, but I no longer want any vaccinations for myself or my children. And so there was a decline in vaccinations for the children, where they weren't up to speed with their vaccination. So I think that that's important to protect our children. Again, it's like it's a conspiracy theory where people are of this certain mind that they don't want to get the vaccine because they feel like the vaccine is going to do them more harm than good.
Right.
So I think that that was something that was more prevalent post-COVID than it was even before COVID.
Yeah, you make a very good point. I was just reading something that said that measles are back up again in Michigan.
Measles, and I think it was polio is coming back.
I was going to say polio,
Yep.
yes, but I wasn't sure so thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, and those are very dangerous. Both of them are dangerous. And so we need to consider how we can best take care of our children. And we used to have enough people who were vaccinated that I forget what they call that, where it was enough who were vaccinated that it helped the ones who were not.
Right.
That's not the case anymore.
Right.
Supposedly now, what you just said, people are not getting vaccinated.
Right.
So you was doing this rollout. Now, we talking about the rollback, and I can imagine all the work. And at that time, were you working on your own? Were you working for a company?
I was working for a company at that time, and we had that brief period that we had to go virtual until we got our PPE up to stock. Once the PPE was up to stock, we went back in the clinics. While COVID was still a real thing, I was running the COVID clinics, and it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. Yeah.
I can imagine. And a lot of putting yourself at risk as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Because I reported to work every day.
Wow. Wow. And so tell us about, how did you get started in redemption consulting?
Well, this is perfect timing, because doing all of that work had me take a step back to say, okay, what are you really doing? Because it burnt me out. And
I
so
can imagine.
I had started the framework for my business, but hadn't really launched into it because I was busy working that position. And I resigned, and I started my business full time.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did give a brief introduction about your business, but why don't you tell us about your business and the type of clients that you like to influence?
Sure. So Redemption Consulting, again, was birthed out of working corporately in healthcare for a number of years and having a desire to do more. And one thing that I noticed early on in working in healthcare was that when some organizations would run into a pitfall or something like that, they would call in a consulting firm. And that consulting firm would come in and work with the leader and understand their workflows, and then they would give the company a recommendation of what they need to do to fix the problem, and they're gone. And so that resonated with me, and I said, I can do that. And so that's what I do. My primary line of business is with healthcare clinics, privately owned healthcare clinics. And what I do is I go in and I help them if they have an issue with patient access, be it scheduling and patients having to wait a long period of time to get on their doctor's calendar because they don't have any accessibility. I work with them in optimizing scheduling. I also work with them with staff and staff training and onboarding. Many times one of the things that was a challenge for me as a leader was having staff and then being able to keep that staff in some of those foundational positions, like your registration staff, your medical assistant staff, your referral staff, your medical record staff, your call center staff, and being able to keep staff in those positions. Sometime there was a lot of turnover, especially after COVID.
I know. I just want to interject and say it was a lot of health workers, first responders. They definitely had what we call compassion fatigue. It was very difficult for them during that time to stay connected. They were losing time, with their families. They were watching people die. They were having to make these calls that they weren't used to. And then on top of that, they were getting cursed out. Royally. Disrespected for trying to take care of someone who didn't want to believe they had COVID.
It was all happening at the same time.
It was.
And it was a very trying time for healthcare, for healthcare workers, as far as my staff, you know, we're dealing with staff who need to take time off because they need to attend a loved one's funeral.
Yeah.
When the school shut down, staff with school-age children that didn't have anyone else to watch their children, many of them had to quit. And then you also dealing with the reality that once they was giving out those nice checks, a lot of those checks were more than some people were making in their regular paychecks. So they stopped working.
Yeah.
And so staff was like a revolving door at that time. And then to hire someone in, they wanted to be making more than what they was used to receiving with the unemployment check. So now we got to look at, because it was also during that time that a lot of organizations made that minimum base pay $15 an hour. Do you remember that? I remember that.
Yes.
So that was something else that was being dealt with. Now you got people who want to come in at a higher rate of pay, and then to me it was fair to bring the staff that I already had that wasn't at that level up to that level, so that they could be retained during this time, because when you got that turnover, you're trying to hire someone else in, you have to get them trained, you have to get them onboarded. So that's where my consulting business comes in. I do that work for these organizations. I create your onboarding training plan for your staff, so you have it for a resource for those staff that are new hires, and you're not depending on someone else who's already doing the job to train them, because that's not the most effective way to train a new person, because people can become contingents. Well, that's not my job. Are you paying me to train them? Well, I ain't gonna do it then. Oh, I told her to do this. Then the new person is like, well, no, they didn't teach me this, they didn't teach me that. So it's best to have that non-biased third party put something in place that represents your organization, so that the staff can be properly trained. Then when you have someone else come in new, you can rinse and repeat with that same cycle. But a lot of companies don't have that in place, and that's what Redemption Consulting does. And don't want to put the money
there as well.
Yeah.
They want to take someone who already overworked, underpaid, and say, you train them.
You train them.
And they have resentment about training.
They do. Yeah. Staff would be like, and that's just the nature of the beast, but, that's something that I ran into commonly.
I'm sure.
It could be a registration staff, and the onus was on them to train a new person, and then I'm asking a new person with the checkoff list, oh, you know how to do this, you know how to do that, and they're like, no, well, she didn't teach me this, or they didn't teach me that.
That's right.
I'm like, this is a problem.
This is a problem.
So that's one of the things that I help companies with, fixing that problem. I don't know the staff, they don't know me, but I get to know them, I get to know their jobs, I get to know what works best for them, I get to know the organization, what the culture is, and then I tailor their onboarding to that.
I think that's really powerful and is needed. And so if companies are listening that don't have that in place, speaking from someone who used to work in corporate and felt very frustrated about the onboarding process. There was one company that I worked for, and I would leave them nameless, who I thought did a superb job of onboarding. And they had one of their trainers who worked for them, but that's all they started doing in onboarding. And I thought that was just excellent.
Yes.
And I walked away from that company being able to go to another corporate company with that experience, because they trained me so well. Yeah, and so they put the investment in. The other company that I work for, they didn't.
Right.
And me and the young lady, we started at the same time, so I could tell you definitely well needed in these companies. Started at the same time. They had us just sitting there. The person who was supposed to be training us was the manager. They elevated her to another position, and so we was just there until they figured out what to do with us.
Right.
Well, for me, I was okay. I was like, you know what?
You're getting paid to do basically
if that's what you want to do.
Right.
Fine, I'll do other things. And then finally, they started moving the ball, but not getting the training. And then when I would reach out to people who I thought befriended me, they were like, well, that's really not my role to
you don't
show
have to do
you
all of that.
Yeah. So, and so you are definitely needed, and I hope companies would realize that, because now a lot of cuts are coming down the tube, right?
Well, you got a twofold thing going on right now, right? You got a lot of cuts coming, and you also have AI.
Yes.
Now, a lot of AI does need human intervention to be able to facilitate things, but don't sleep on the fact that when you go in these stores and they got kiosks and you could do everything right there, don't you see less people behind those counters?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's what's here.
Yes.
It's not coming, it's here.
It is here. I mean, that's really true. And one of the things they said that the field to go into was health, because a lot of that is still needed. That touch,
the human intervention,
the human interaction is definitely needed. And what I have also found is that a lot of people still like the human interaction.
Absolutely.
You know, even though I have to say that sometimes AI can be more empathetic than people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but I mean, we have found that, and empathy is still needed in the world.
Yeah, empathy should be the driving force in any healthcare system.
Yes.
Period. And if a person does not have empathy and compassion towards people, healthcare is not their field. Period.
It's not.
Because it is about everything that you do when you work in healthcare, because all of us will visit some type of healthcare system at some point in our life, either in birth or death.
That's true.
Even if you're a healthy person and you never have to be hospitalized, you may be someone who is a support person for someone who does. So that is something that I am extremely passionate about. People receiving appropriate empathy in their healthcare journey, getting appropriate information, and being treated right.
I totally agree with that, and even doctors can learn that. I mean, if you're not there to really help the patient or speak to them in a way that's appropriate, then stop being a doctor. Right. I mean, I ran into that when my father was passing away. So it's so true. Empathy is needed, and basically, my father was just another number taking up the bed, and that's the way that doctor. He's very arrogant. Extremely arrogant, did not have any bedside manner whatsoever. And so but I have met doctors, so let me say, who have bedside manners that know how to treat their patients, and those doctors mean the world to me.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes.
So you're right, the training is needed, the empathy is needed, the compassion is needed, but not only on that side, because what I'm also hearing you say, on the side for the health providers as well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. They deal with a lot as well.
Yes.
Just as much as I was an advocate for my staff, I was also an advocate for my mid-level providers and physicians that I worked with. So they have a lot. They have numbers that they need to meet as far as how many patients they see. They have times and deadlines as to when they need to close out their charts so that billing can go forward appropriately. They have other things that they need to do with patients' care that's going to take them a little bit more time, like filling out paperwork, filling out handicap stickers. All of these things take the provider's time. And so they have a lot too, because they're trying to see the patients, they're trying to be attentive to the patients.
Sure.
They have a short time period to be able to do it, and they carry things themselves. They're still human, so they deal with a lot as well. So I give my hats off to, those that are actually doing the clinical work. It's a big job.
It's a big job.
Yeah.
It really is, and that's wonderful that you're able to see that and have that, that sensitivity.
Yeah.
Well, switching gears a little, tell us about your leading plant-based health transformation and how it impacted your life.
Yeah. So I started my plant-based journey because I got some blood work back, and it said that my insulin or my A1C level was elevated. And it wasn't to the level of being considered a diabetic, but it was at a level where it was concerning.
Okay.
And I had just began seeing an integrated medicine physician, and she was plant-based.
Oh,
and
wonderful.
So when I got the lab results back that day, I literally at work had a candy full of snacks. Sugar is my kryptonite. I had Skittles. I had Starburst. I had all kind of junk
yes.
in this drawer because that's what I would do. The job was so high level stress. You know, I go in my office, do work, and eat on this candy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting in my office when I read the letter, and I got up and I emptied that drawer and I took it down to the staff's office, like, y'all can have this.
Okay.
I was like, I'm done.
Wow.
And that day, I've never looked back.
Is that right?
That's the truth.
Bravo for you. That reminds
That's the
me of
truth.
my mother when the doctor told her that cigarettes was going to kill her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she just cold turkey stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you cold turkey.
I cold turkey stopped. I got a nutritionist. I continued to see my physician every 3 months to get my blood work done. My A1C level dropped. It is within the normal range now.
Woo.
I lost weight.
All right.
But during that time, I've always worked out like
Yes.
crazy. Like at
Yes.
the time that happened, I was doing CrossFit. I did CrossFit for 8 or 9 years. And
Okay,
so
okay.
I was doing that several times a week, but just wasn't on the right path with my diet. So I did that, and I continued to do the CrossFit workouts.
That's
increase my
wonderful.
protein. Yeah, and I was good to go. Yeah.
So tell us about some of the foods you like in terms of the plant-based, because a lot of people just believe that it's nasty or
Right. You just eating lettuce and
yes,
carrots all day.
exactly. So tell us about your journey to your food.
So it has been a journey, but believe it or not, I eat a lot of the same things that other people eat. I just found a new way how to cook it.
Okay.
Plant-based. So like the other day, and this is not the healthiest thing to eat, but
Okay.
I have my moments, like, right, I have my treats. My days were like this was the day before yesterday, and I was like, I want something savory. You know how you
Okay.
eat some cube steak?
Mm-hmm,
So I figured out how to make that
Oh,
vegan
wow.
style,
Okay.
right? And so I made that and mashed potatoes, and I made some vegetables, sauteed some vegetables to go with it, and it was good. Or like today, I'm like, okay, I need to be a little bit more on point today with my intake of food. So after coming from the gym this morning, I made me a nice protein smoothie with some pineapples, some blueberries, some flax seeds, some chia seed, almond milk, banana. So it
Wow,
was nice.
That's a lot.
It was
isn't
a
it?
lot,
Yeah.
right? So you got your anti-inflammatory with the pineapples. You got your antioxidants with the blueberries. I got my protein from a couple of different sources, and it was filling. And then for lunch, I have like a lunch dinner. If I eat at like 2 o'clock, that's my lunch and my dinner.
Okay.
So I had me a nice big. I made me a Greek salad with some beets, some peppers, some onions, and chickpeas for the protein. So it's really about, just planning those meals out. I do eat beans a lot, but like I said, I make food good and savory because that's how
That's
I'm
nice.
used to eating it.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Have
that's
your
how I eat it.
husband been doing the same? Has he-
My husband eats what I cook, but he's not a vegan. He
Okay.
still likes his fish. He still likes his steak and stuff
Okay.
like that. Greek salad I made for us today, he sauteed him a couple of chicken breasts and put it on there, and that's
Okay.
fine. He tried
Okay.
it in the beginning. He was like, I'm hungry.
Okay. So the plant-based, you can also get plant-based chicken and burgers and stuff like that. Is that correct, or is that just processed?
It
Talk to us
is
about it.
processed.
Oh, okay.
You
So,
can
yes.
get it. It is processed, and
Mhm.
I'll have it every now and then.
Okay.
But I try not to have it often. I try to
Okay.
stick to, the vegetables and the beans and the nuts and things like that for my proteins. But you can get it. You can do a couple of things with it, but I try to stay away from it because it is processed.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, you have been listening to Exhale into Life with Regina. When Regina speaks, everybody listen. We are live streaming from WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and the other one that left my mind. Like, subscribe, share, and comment. Those are the 4. And don't forget to watch us on YouTube. I often forget to say that, but we are on YouTube, WJZZ Cool TV. You can catch us on YouTube. I am on right now from 4 to 5 p.m. And you can go back and look. So thank you so much for tuning in. I have a couple of more questions because unfortunately this time goes so fast. It does. But tell me how your faith has guided your approach to fitness, to health, and your leadership.
Absolutely. So really with my faith, it really is very simple. I believe that we should, as Christians, glorify God in our body because it's the temple of the Holy Spirit, and that's where He lives.
Okay.
And I know that when I eat right, I feel better. I know that when I work out, I feel better. And when I'm able to do those things and have clarity in my mind, I can do what it is I need to do for my business. And when I was working with corporate, I could show up every day and do what I'm able, do what I need to do because I'm putting the right things in my body and I'm exerting the energy that I need to stay fit and stay healthy. And it really keeps, my faith is what keeps me grounded, to keep going, to know that everything is going to be okay, and to know who I'm working for. And this is kingdom work that I'm doing.
That's wonderful. So just one more question. How were you able to find another way to feed your stress?
Working out is how I feed my stress.
Okay, and solely because at one point it was the candy. So you just moved to...
Well, I was still working out while I had the candy.
I know, that's what I'm saying. You were working out then.
Yeah.
Is why you had the candy. And so once you remove that, what did you replace with it?
It was working out. Like even that tough time that I went through working every day in the clinics while it was the pandemic. Well, once they said you couldn't go into buildings, but you could be outside of buildings.
Okay.
Guess who was going to CrossFit every morning at 6 a.m.?
Okay.
5 days a week. A lot of times it was just me and the coach, but I showed up, and that's
Good
how
for
I exerted
you.
my energy.
Okay.
I go and I work out. Even now, I tend to like to get up early and go work out, and that's just how I start my day. It gives me clarity of mind, and it definitely helps with the stress.
Yes, I love it. I'm the same way. It just gives me clarity of mind.
Yeah.
And I feel better, and I'm healthy, and I move the way I want to move. Yes. And just another one. So in your sharing, is there anything before we close out that you would like us to know about you and your business? And please provide your information.
Sure. So I would just like to say to those that are listening out there, I am a small business solopreneur. I'm looking to grow my business and scale it. And I know that I have a good service for these healthcare clinics because I have the experience and the compassion that they need. So oftentimes, you stay in situations because you feel like there are no other options or you're stuck. But those powers that be that make those decisions need to go ahead and make the decision to get the help that they need so that their practices can do better, and that they can do better by their patients. And that's what's important at the end of the day, because when a patient can't get through on the phone and they can't get an appointment when they need it, they're the ones ultimately that's suffering, and they don't have to. So people need to do right by that and go ahead and sign up for the services. And I can be reached at www.redemptionreemptionbiz.com, or you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Rees, REES Consulting 1. And that's how you can get in touch with me.
That's wonderful. So tell us how you came up with the name Redemption.
Funny story. So my childhood nickname is Ree, R-E-E.
Okay.
And redemption is rooted, again, in faith in the Word of God and believing in Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, my Redeemer.
Okay.
So that's how redemption came about, in the 2 E's.
Okay. And tell us, what is your tagline for Redemption? Do you have one?
I do.
All right.
Redemption Consulting is where we help businesses get unstuck.
I love it. Very good. Very good. It has been a joy. We have to have you back.
Absolutely.
I would love that.
Anytime.
And you have been listening to Exhale into Life with Regina. We want our audience to know that you are worth the rest, the wholeness, the health. And with so many things going on in our world, our health systems definitely need a boost. I love what Sharice has shared with us. Her own personal journey to better health, diabetes, particularly in the Black community. We need to lower it. We need to deal with our A1C. We really do. We need to deal with our being overweight. All of those things. And you worth the journey. Yes, it takes work. It takes you loving yourself. But you can do this. We believe, and we believe in you. So thanks for tuning in to Exhale into life with Regina. When Regina speaks, everybody listens. Thanks so much. And don't forget to tune in to WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. And thanks for watching us on YouTube. God bless you, and God bless your hearts.
Good night.
So yeah, he's going to tell us that he is taking off because we're waiting. So yeah. So good, you know. I learned. Yes, wonderful. Yes, it was wonderful, and I really think your services are truly needed because being in the health field, working for corporate during that time, that was truly, truly needed. And like I said, one company did an excellent job on onboarding us and helping us to understand it, but the rest of them really didn't. Just throwing you in position, expecting someone to train you. So that was not a good experience
And
at
I
all.
think everybody has experienced that. You know, it doesn't matter what company. You know, you have these big name companies and people think they got it figured all out.
They don't.
They don't.
They really, really don't. So,
so how much more do the smaller clinics not have it figured out?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, we might have to leave out. Roger has not taken us off yet.
Oh, it's still going. Do you have a lot of people that look at it after it broadcasts?
See, my biggest issue is I have to make sure I start going back to it. Okay. So I do find that some are, but I need to do a better job of that wholeheartedly. And just what you were talking about earlier, a better job with that as well. Just get, this is, I was doing this with someone prior, and that was nice.